green, orange, green, blue, green.
Red, green, blue, green.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, there you go. 35192 if you want to text. AlanCoxShow.com. You want to watch there.
Instagram hotties is at AlanCoxShow.com.
Oh, yeah, the Instagram hotties.
Happy
right.
birthday, old lady.
Our cover girl is celebrating a birthday today of unknown origin, right? We don't know how old she is, don't know when she was born. There's simply no way to be able to determine that information.
Right, even if we had the date, there's no way to really know.
No way to know because, frankly, who can do that kind of math?
It's too complicated.
Played you that clip yesterday of NASCAR driver Kyle Larson dropping the N-word during a virtual race. He was doing some iPro video race and thought he was just talking to, I guess, one of his boys. Dropped the N-word, and then it became clear that everyone heard him.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything.
He was racing for Chip Ganassi, who was a guy out of Pittsburgh. So this guy to be like, what's he doing over there? Dropping the N-word. I mean, maybe if you're over in Wilkinsburg, you're going to hear that in the air, but what? So NASCAR suspended him. And then he apologized on Twitter, and then they fired him because the sponsors were all dropping out.
Yeah.
You know, all these guys, they got these patches on their flight suit,
Flight suit.
driver suit.
And I like that he's also a guy that probably would say, like, I'm not racist, I just didn't know, blah, blah, blah. But, like, if you're using that word and you're a white guy.
Yeah.
He's Japanese. Maybe he thought that gave him a little bit. Yeah, he's of Asian descent.
Okay.
Maybe he thought that gave him a little bit of an edge. But my thought is, you're either black or not, and if you're not black, you don't use that. Maybe he thought, I haven't actually heard the apology. I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm sorry. I made a mistake and said the word that should never, ever be said. And, there's no excuse for that. I wasn't raised that way. It's just an awful thing to say. And I feel very sorry for my family, my friends, my partners, the NASCAR community, and especially the African-American community. I understand the damage is probably unrepairable, and I own up to that. But I just wanted to let you all know how sorry I am. And, I hope everybody is staying safe during these crazy times.
Crazy times, boy, crazy. Imagine your career goes away because you were on a stupid video game and dropped the N-word. By the way, try playing a video game with other people and not hearing the N-word on a regular basis.
He was like, I just want it to be normal. I want it to be lifelike.
Yeah.
Some little 13-year-old in Idaho just screaming at you.
Yeah.
That's where they feel safe.
I remember when my son was younger and I got him like his first gaming headset or whatever, and he was playing something live. And I was like, all right, we'll dip our toe into this. He was probably 12 or 13. Like, we'll dip our toe into this or whatever, and then you kind of get into the mix of all the people who were in there playing. I don't even remember what the game was. And I put on the headset for like 30 seconds. I was like, nope, not doing this yet. You are not getting into this yet. No. But it is amazing the frequency and the ease, because you'll notice that these guys always say, it's not how I was raised. Because what happens is, they go, well, I don't want everybody giving my parents a hard time, too.
Yeah.
So they kind of throw that in there as a perfunctory statement. But it is amazing to me being around or being within earshot, how the frequency and ease with which white teenage boys throw the N-word around.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, they're doing it in a space where there's no consequence to doing it. So then they think it's okay, and then they...
I mean, even around black teenagers.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying there's not... They're not...
I mean, clearly...
retaliating or anything?
Clearly no consequences from their black friends, but I was like, oh my God. And again, there's probably a generational thing, too, where like younger black dudes just don't feel the impact of that word.
Yeah.
Because maybe, I can't spek for them, obviously, but maybe they just associate it with...
But go ahead.
Well, you know what I mean, though. Like, if you talk to an old black guy, he will have obviously a completely different experience than his grandson will, who's growing up in a very different time. I mean, not that different. Let's be real, but much more advanced than before.
Yeah,
where people were like openly saying it to black dudes, and you know.
And usually in those situations, again, I don't really know how it feels. But I think because they'll be the minority in the situation, so when they hear white kids throwing it around, they're just like, what am I going to do, fight everybody all the time? Or am I just going to try and live my life and just kind of be like, yeah, okay, guys, and just kind of shrug at it?
I did.
I don't think they're thrilled about the kids using it, but they're also not going to just continually try and fight someone over it.
I was FaceTiming with a comic friend of mine who's black, and we were just going over some different things. And I had a joke about being poor, and he was saying, "Oh, that's a black thing," and I was like, "But my family's white," and like we were going back and forth. Then we opened up a conversation about race, and he actually brought this up where he was saying that like he's exhausted by it. He's like, if I tried to fight every person who threw a racist slur or who accidentally said something racist or whatever it is, he's like, it's an all day, every day kind
full-time
of thing.
job.
Exactly, yeah.
He's like, you just can't do it. He's like, you drive yourself crazy with it.
Yeah, so you become kind of numb to it. So when
Not
you
that
hear
it doesn't
kids around,
affect
yeah,
him,
not that
but-
it doesn't affect him, but that's one of the effects that it has, where you become numb to that. People saying that, like when I was in the Philippines, this is not anywhere near the level, but they call the racial slur. It's not even a slur, but they go, "Hey Joe Romano," is what they'd yell at Americans. And there are some missionaries that
Joe Romano,
because when that's what they. It goes back to like the World War II days or something like that, or when they were America occupied the Philippines. So that's it's got like a lot of history there. And there were some missionaries that would get so bent out of shape by it. They're like, yeah, my name's not Joe Romano. I'm Elder so-and-so, and blah, blah, blah. And they get so angry about it. And I'd just be like, hey, if you get angry every time someone calls you Joe Romano, we're not going to get anything done. All right? And I'm not trying to get anything done anyway. But, like, let's just, let's not get angry every time we hear that, because it's not worth your time.
Did they ever call anyone Miss Romano from One Day at a Time?
No.
Did you ever respond as
Ray Romano?
Corky Romano?
Oh, I was gonna say.
Or Ray Romano?
Hey, I'm not Joe, I'm Ray. Ray Romano.
And then just kind of stood there looking at them like, okay, Joe.
Everyone loves me.
He nailed it. Come on, he nailed it.
He did so well.
I love Bill Romano. Come
Bill
on.
Romano. It's really good. Almost as good as Marioki. We should team up.
I feel like it's apples and oranges.
I can't compare the two.
Yeah, it's not a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Crazy Trucker Carl.
Oh, here we go.
Yep.
Oh, he's not the mean one. Sorry, I was confusing you with the guy from Georgia who yelled at me last week.
Oh, Dustin from
Yeah,
Georgia?
sorry. That's
He's
what I
like,
said.
hellfire,
That
woman.
guy. That's who
Get
I thought
out there.
it
I mean, he was nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, trucker.
I'm just a run-of-the-mill dirty old man anyway.
All right, what's going on?
Not much. I heard you talk about going up to northern Michigan in summertime, and
Oh, yeah.
my dad was from Michigan, and my grandmother lived in Wellston, Michigan, if you know where that's at.
Okay.
So we used to go up there every summer and spend 2, 3, 4 weeks, depending on how long my dad had off from work. And really, really, truly believe that is a real fine place to be in the summertime, I'm going to tell you.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot. I mean, it's, if you know Wellston, then you know like Grayling and Torch Lake and all those places. And those are kind of the places that we would go up and camp, and Roscommon around there. Yeah, you just, there's not a lot of light pollution, not too many people. There's no major metropolitan area, so you just look up and you can get high and have a good time.
my grandmother drank. There was a spring came right out of the rock at Pine Creek, and she drank that water all her life. Lived to be 93. And we used to drink Pine Creek. We'd go on canoe trips, and you could drink the water right out of the creek.
Yeah, because it's ice cold.
Oh, and it was delicious too. But me and a buddy of mine got caught bow hunting too. We got caught bow hunting in irons. By Ted Nugent himself.
Yeah, Sweaty Teddy.
Well, he.
That would be a great way to haul food, though, They just open up the giant semi-truck doors, and it all comes spilling out. Like, whatever you can catch, if you're a
what you
store,
get.
yes, you can bring your own bag.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's in bags. Right. I got a letter from somebody who's like, hey, if you have a house cleaner and they're not working right now, you should still pay them. because these are the forgotten people in the quarantine situation. This is not the time to cut back. You should still be paying your house cleaner. Now, this is a controversial opinion.
I think it depends on the situation. If you have the means to pay that person, then absolutely.
I think that's what she's talking
about. You should pay
about.
for that. But if you don't, because if maybe you lost your job and you don't have any income coming in, then you don't. Yeah, then I don't see why.
I think that's what Amanda's telling me. She goes, I work independently and I've done so for 15 years, and I've found that the more wealthy my client, the more ignorant they are about my situation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you are someone who can afford to have someone clean your home, I think it's more probable that you can afford to pay them when you get what I'm saying? Like,
well, but the thing, like, I had someone that would come once a month and clean my house, and I would pay them like $80, and they would just do like one like good cleaning of everything, and then I would maintain, and then they come every month. But because I lost a lot of income from stand-up, I don't have the money to do that right now. I'm cutting back on some things, and also, I'm not going to do that right now.
Yeah.
So. She said, I'm a single mother with 2 teens, one of whom is a displaced college freshman. We live week to week. We run the risk of losing our rental house and our car. Their father hasn't been involved since my divorce 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And I understand where she's coming from.
Struggling independent cleaning ladies, what she said. Yeah. See, what you got to do is you got to get with that cleaning union.
There's an agency
I'll tell you what,
or something.
Big Mop. Mm-hmm. They're trying to crack down on these independent cleaning people.
Big Bucket just coming at you.
Big Mop and Bucket. So, yeah, if you have the means.
But, like, there's a lot of, like, she probably has weekly clients that she goes and cleans for.
Yep.
And they probably have the ability to pay her. And that's,
Yeah.
And if my cleaning person reached out to me and be like, hey, could you help me out? I would do my best to help them out.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things where I got to make some cutbacks in my own life because I can't,
What is something else that you've given up?
I haven't bought as many shoes.
As many? So you have bought some?
Well, I bought a pair, but I was also able to get them basically for free.
Oh. How?
I bought 2 pairs, sold one, and then basically...
But you're not going to return that Papa-Shot machine.
No, that was my birthday present to myself.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
What have you cut back on, Alan?
Going out.
Oh, how noble of you.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
I don't know. What do you want me to say? I mean,
no, I didn't know if you have.
I already live way below my means.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't have an opulent lifestyle.
Well, I didn't realize.
That's how I maintain my millions.
There is one person on my Instagram who only responds to my stories when I eat out, and that's all they say. They just respond and say, eating out again. Every time I get takeout, it's been going on for like a year.
Block that person.
Very strange. It's just such a strange thing that's the only time you respond to what I'm doing.
That's a weird thing to plant their flag in.
Yes.
And that's not that expensive, and you're also kind of helping local restaurants.
Right. Yeah. But I didn't realize how much I was, because doing comedy 5 or 6 nights a week, I'm out in bars. So I'd leave here, go to like wherever the bar show was, get food beforehand, and then go home. And I'm like, I feel like I have all this extra money. Obviously, I lost my stand-up income, but like I'm not eating out 4 nights a week. You know, I'm going to the grocery store and cooking and stuff. I didn't realize how much I was actually doing.
Yeah, I don't spend much money to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like things like I'm not going out to bars to drink. I'm not going out and like taking Ubers and Lyfts around town and stuff like that. So there's things that I've definitely cut back on.
Yeah.
But this is gonna be a extended thing. So I've lost a lot of income because I did pretty good with some stand-up stuff, you know?
We did start ordering because it's a local business. It's called Go Buddha, and it is phenomenal. It's these meals. I think they're out of Lakewood or something. And like it's like a chef, or I don't even know what their situation is, but we started buying these. And you just heat them and cook them or whatever. We started doing that instead of going to the grocery store all the time.
Yeah.
But
is it like a Hello Fresh?
Yeah, they
like
drop them off once a week.
Yeah,
drop them off once a week, and you tell them what
cool.
you want, and it's dynamite. It's called Go Buddha. Yeah, it's really, really good. And so those things sometimes can get a little bit pricey, but again, we live below our means,
right?
You know, so it's not really a situation where we've had to, we're not paying for preschool right now.
Yeah,
I'm not paying.
You should still be paying for the preschool, Alan.
What about the teachers?
Mm-hmm. Well, I should say they're not charging us. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, she's not doing.
They're not
she's
doing the old
forced.
Ticketmaster.
She's not doing Zoom classes.
Zoom
no
preschool.
No, her teacher pulled up with a little sign. She was going to all the kids' houses.
I saw that picture.
Yeah, and
that was cute.
my daughter.
Your daughter was so excited.
She was very, very excited. Yeah. Yeah, the Ticketmaster thing is pretty wild, too. Mm-hmm. How Ticketmaster very quietly changed their refund policy. This is what some shady insurance companies I've noticed are doing as well. I talked about how Wimbledon was one of the rare instances where somebody really cashed in from this pandemic. They had to cancel Wimbledon. But after the SARS outbreak 15 years ago, they started buying pandemic insurance.
It's not even that they cashed in. They just won't lose as much money as if they didn't have this
That's
insurance.
right. They'll lose 50% as opposed to 100%.
Yeah.
But they've been paying a couple $1 million a year for the past 16, 17 years. And so they got $141 million as pandemic insurance. But there are other people who are suing insurance companies because insurance companies would sell pandemic insurance, I'm sure at the time, because it sounded like a cool thing to try to get money from people. Mm-hmm. But now that it's actually happened and people are filing claims, insurance companies are going, well, it didn't specifically say coronavirus. It didn't
God.
It didn't. Well, it says coronavirus. Didn't specifically say this one. It's like, well, that's a
Not
pretty slick.
COVID-19.
That's a pretty slick move since these don't show up until they show up.
Right.
But like,
you don't
I
know
don't.
the name of it.
I pay. If I pay flood insurance, yeah, it's not flooding all the time, but when it does flood, I expect that you guys are. So Ticketmaster quietly changed the refund policy to only apply to canceled shows. So most of these bands are just postponing their shows. So Ticketmaster goes, well, we're not going to give you your money back if they just postponed, because, But why wouldn't you?
Right.
I understand everybody's kind of scrambling to maintain whatever their market share and market value is, but it's like if they're going to kind of, change the fine print, you're sitting on tickets for a show that may eventually become canceled. I guess maybe you get your money then, but you're not going to get it now.
One thing that surprised me, I only had to cancel one flight to St. Louis. It was like $300, $270, something like that. And Southwest was like, oh, well, we'll credit it. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll fly again in the future. That doesn't bother me much. But they put an expiration date on it where they were like, well, you have to use it in the next year. It expires like April of 2021. And I'm like, well, what if this stuff doesn't clear up and then I don't have to fly anywhere? Like, then I just don't get my money back because I didn't use it within a year? I thought that was a strange thing. Like credit my account,
a weird thing.
Credit my account, but then give me a timeline when I have to use it by.
Well,
that doesn't seem fair.
I think most airlines, when you do that, even in normal times, give you a year. It's just that they're not changing it even because of this.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
That was their policy. They're just not changing it to a new one.
Yeah,
they're not changing it to accommodate. Whereas Ticketmaster's like, yeah, we're gonna
let's gonna do a little switcheroo. Yeah.
Hey, Susie.
Yeah.
What's up?
Oh, hey, Alan. Third-time caller, long-time listener.
Hey, who's counting now, right?
Well, I'm a housekeeper, and you really find your value in this time. I mean, I get it. It's a very weird time. People are really fearful, but you find your value because it's like I'm like the first person that they let go. But it's interesting because about half of my customers are men and about half are women.
Yeah.
All of the men are still having me come out and clean, and some of them have had me come in even more. And then the women are like, "Oh no, we don't want to do that right now."
You're not one of them topless maids, are you, Susie? That would explain a lot.
No. There's some services I don't, offer.
Okay, well, you might want to start, like you said. You really find out you find out your value during this time.
But yeah, it's really interesting because some people are wanting me to come out more because they want their home disinfected. They want it clean. And then other people, I don't know what's going to change in a few weeks from now, but they're like, oh, we'll have you come back after the stay-at-home order is over. And I'm thinking, well, what's changed? I'm not a contagion coming into their home.
But yeah, and I think people are also assuming that this is going to end quickly-ish. And I don't know that because just things being what they are, whether politically or economically, nobody's got the stomach for another year of this. So we'll see what that means. I don't know, but.
Well, and the smart thing that I did just prior to all this happening is I bought a new car for the first time in like 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want to do in the middle of a pandemic is buy a car. And I need my transportation.
Yeah.
But with my income cut in half, I'm going to look for my stimulus check and hope that I get it. But
they're starting to hit, I think. I'm reading that people are starting to get those checks.
Well, that's going to be a help.
There was some guy in Kentucky who was looking for a stimulus check, and he had $8.2 million in the bank.
Dibs.
And he looked like precisely the kind of guy who would have tried to have spirited away that money, too. But he's like, nah, I checked back with the bank, and they said it was in there, but then I checked back again, and it wasn't.
1 million error.
Yeah.
I appreciate the people, because I have had a couple of my customers that even though they didn't have me come out, they actually did pay me, and I appreciate that, but I don't expect it. But this is going to be a very strange time, and I'm really...
Can you virtually clean? Can you do like a Zoom clean?
Clean on Zoom?
She's spraying the camera with Windex.
Yeah. Well, good luck out there, Susie.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate, everybody that's still having me come out and work.
Yeah, well, good. All right, well, everybody hit
Support
Susie
your
up.
housekeepers.
Yeah, all right, well, just, consider some tearaway pants next time, and, maybe that business will go through the roof. I don't know. All right, thank you. There's Susie, who's out there trying to clean people's houses, right?
Do we know if,
We do not.
Okay.
Do we know what?
Do we know if, nail salons, barbershops, things like that are still having to pay rent?
I think just about everybody is still having to pay rent. I mean,
I didn't know. Well, because
I don't think they're serving evictions or something like that, right?
Yeah, I'm just wondering because the salon that I go to for my hair is like a small, privately owned. Like this girl and her sister started a salon, so I'm wondering they don't have any money coming in. They still have to pay rent. How many people aren't gonna, come out on the other side of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out. I've got a break. If you want to get a text in, 35192. If you want to hit us up at alancoxshow.com, you can do that. And your next shot to grab $1,000 is coming up at 4:30.
The Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS. And everywhere you go on our free iHeartRadio app.